Hey.
Okay, so here we are, ready to discuss what's going on with Dignity, what the opportunities are, and how everybody would like to get involved. So we'd like to kick off by getting some introductions and each person would like to get out today. So Luke, would you like to...
Yes. I'm Luke. I'm co-founder of Dignity Platform, and I just really value my lovely friends who are very clever, and I'm lucky to have a few of them in this video call. And shame that Jack's not here, and some of the others who are really involved in the project, but hopefully this recording will help with that. I kind of just wanted to off the back of some of the really interesting conversations that we've already had and things we've been talking about, thought it'd be nice just to kind of come together socially, a bit more intimately, just see faces and hear voices, um, and yeah, just connect a little more with each other and over the project as well. So I guess it's quite open for me talking to my friends about interesting things. And for me, there's enough of a focus on exploring what we're most interested in around what next and how might I like to fit in.
Thank you very much. Alec, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Alec. I'm based in London here. Um, here for being cause one to echo what Luke said about connecting. It's great to see the fact. I believe that there's different way of doing things, and Dignity ticks that box in doing things differently. So there's a purpose behind being here, and I'm really curious in terms of what are the challenges that you are facing, and hearing more about that as well.
My turn? I think that for me to go now. Good for me to go now.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm Sanjay, and another app also related to charitable giving. So there may be some sort of synergy potentially between my app, SoGive, and I guess I'm interested in the wider question of people with support, and so it's interesting to see how rest.
In about
Could you hear that?
50%, in fact, it's sort of the last sort of 15 seconds I didn't get. It was about 80%, then 50, and then it kind of just dropped off the last 20 seconds. Yeah.
The last bit was just, I'm interested in seeing how Dignity will help people to engage with charitable work.
Cool.
Okay, thank you so much, Sanjay. So my name is Moya, and I'm here also because I'm really interested to see what Dignity, and I like the fact that they're creating a structure of working, it's very distributed, it's on purpose, organization's purpose, and I think that it creates for me a huge opportunity for learning about how to do that and how to do goals and what are the opportunities. So thank you very much. I think your next step was where you happily type it all up.
Shall I shall I kind of describe the project first and then sort of kind of take it as a given? What do you prefer?
Project first for our listeners.
Cool. Okay. Like 5 minutes or something. I don't go off on one. Okay.
See, we can do 5 minutes.
So I think the project, my frustration is that we are expected to give in society. My viewpoint is obviously coming mostly from sort of the Western world, and being a filmmaker for years, since I was about 18. Charity projects and exploring how they are and how they communicate. I've had a lot of different kind of experiences of how these organisations are supported with volunteer time and with money. And I see a real lack of humanity in not all of it, but certainly I see especially big charities being actually, in a sense, as money focused, even money obsessive, as many completely for-profit companies.
We've lost you, Luke. Lost you a bit there, Luke. Okay, so it seems like Luke's gone for a moment. But while we're waiting for him to come back, maybe others would like to chip in with their experience of charities and whether that resonates, that idea that there's a kind of, in some of them, a culture of requiring money above humanity and above decent treatment of the people who are actually going to provide the funds. Malik?
Yeah, maybe I can share something. So I'm actually really curious in terms of the art of a charity and existing organisation today. So I see organisations having an outer purpose of serving good, but I'm curious in terms of how that is inside those organisations. So whether they be big or large organisations.
Sorry about that. I've actually switched over to my mobile phone internet because our 50 megabit Virgin broadband is so ridiculously unreliable here. So hopefully my phone will do a better job.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Luke. Maybe we can get back to the summary. But while you were on, Malik was just sharing that he has a curiosity around the purpose and whether these charities are losing their connection with their larger purpose. And I think connecting back to the idea that you were saying about being so money obsessed, they'll do anything, including kind of exploiting the people that they're gathering funds from in order to prize the last penny out of them. Anyway, back to you.
So I feel like it'd be very easy to pour endless amounts of my time and energy into just criticising massive charities and sort of how they operate. And I want to be humble enough to recognise that I haven't been the director of Oxfam or some huge, well-established charity. And as much as I might have frustrations around some of the ways they do things, I actually want to focus more on how community-level interactions, how we can value ourselves and each other as more than wallets, especially within the context of supporting things that we're passionate about, not reducing people to wallets, because I don't think that is the currency of social change, of activism, of compassion or cooperation. I know that money is an incredibly useful, powerful fuel, it's not the destination, it's just one of many different kinds of fuel. And I hope that Dignity Platform, of which this manifestation, I don't like to an app. I think the app is just currently our best, our most insightful response at the moment to the challenge that we're interested in. I think really if you dig deeper, is human beings who are passionate about tackling these challenges, and maybe after the app, you know, there may be events that we create and other stuff that we do outside of the app, but the app is a big focus now as a way to connect people with each other and with causes. So what actually does the app literally do? It enables you to generate money for any charity or community project or any kind of cause or campaign that you're passionate about, by doing odd jobs, any kind of random jobs for your neighbours, or anyone who's hopefully passionate about the same causes as you. So the platform tries to match people in at least one way, but hopefully ideally two ways if it can. So it will match me to you, Malik, because it recognises that you have a broken bicycle and I'm your neighbour and I'm happy to fix bicycles. But it also tries to, if it can, match us through causes that we're passionate about. So say the refugee crisis in Lesbos, say we want to support Hummingbird or something. I come and fix your bicycle, and instead of you paying me, you pay the cause that both of us are passionate about. And for me, that makes so much more sense than me just passively, and you maybe just throwing, you know, £3 a month, when, you know, this could be £30, and we have a meaningful neighbours, and everybody is winning. So that's kind of the basis of the app. It's supporting of different ways, the most valuable work that's neighbourly community level interactions more valuable than just wallets.
Great. So just to sort of get some clarity around that. So what it does is it allows people who are interested about the same charity to create a connection around doing some service for each other, and then passing on the monetary gift onto the charity that both parties want to support. Is that kind of it in a nutshell?
Yeah. Yes, I think so. Yeah, that's a sketch kind of illustrates it more visually. But, shall I show you a drawing of it?
Your screen.
Yeah. Is this
yes.
working? Yeah. You see, this is 3 columns. You can imagine this kind of like a phone app. It could look a bit like this. So the first thing platform is the more social innovations, anything that you're working on, you just fill this up. The more causes you have in your cause list, the more likely you are to match with people, not just by need and skill, but also by. And just before I move, the revenue model for Dignity Platform, which I think is really revealing of your intentions with the project. We want to not do the kind of Uber and Airbnb thing where we forcibly siphon off 20 or 25% of every interaction that we enable, but rather actually radically trust our users to, if they do value us, to actually prove that by choosing to fund us. For me, there's something about real responsibility and trust in there that feels much more inspiring to me. So there would be one cause already in everybody's cause list when they first sign up, and that's Dignity Platform. and you're free to remove it if you want to. A little pop-up might appear just saying, this is literally how we're able to operate, is people choosing to support us with a percentage of their payments, but you can just remove it if you want to. So you can order these as well. So in this case, Save the Children is my favourite charity, and then Plan International is lower down. So that just helps with matching workers with hirers. So that's my cause list, and straight away I can go straight into hiring someone or working. So maybe donor should say worker. This is a bit of an old sketch. But yeah, so I'm going to support these causes by hiring someone to, in this case, do a bit of cleaning for me. And I'm kind of, I don't know if this is the best example really, because I'm particularly excited by people developing skills they're passionate about, or just doing things that they enjoy but can also possibly charge a lot for. But anyway, in this example it's cleaning. And these are 4 people who offer cleaning as a skill, and at the top is Tom Page, and he'll be at the top, not the bottom, because he matches my cause list quite a lot. In fact, there could even be like a sort of percentage match, like he's an 80% match, you know. And Andre maybe doesn't match quite as much, but he's, you know, if I pay him £8 an hour for cleaning, I know that mostly that money is going to go on stuff that I'm passionate about. The green slider here represents how much they donate. So we're thinking that people could, the worker could pocket up to 49% of your paying. And obviously, you know, people can be a worker today and tomorrow they're hiring someone. So it's very sort of collaborative consumption model. And yeah, there's community ratings and stuff there too, and their experience level here, which is useful. Like if I'm a filmmaker and I can charge, you know, £200 a day easily for filmmaking, you know, that's a really useful service for someone. I enjoy doing it. I'm developing my skills and networks, and at least the majority of that money is going to causes we're both passionate about.
So would you, oh sorry, have you got a bit more to show us on the app itself?
It depends really. I'm really happy to defer to you sort of time-wise or sort of focus-wise, but this is also quite a nice one that's a bit more recent. This is a totally different way to match with someone. So if I want to do more kind of window shopping rather than searching for a specific skill, say I love Greenpeace and I really want to support them, I can see here all of the kind, generous people who are offering all different kinds of services, ranging from £10 an hour to £35 an hour, and I know that by hiring them, at least most of that money, if not all of it, is going to go to beautiful causes, either Greenpeace or Sanjay might be interested in, is we could do some really clever stuff around kind of mapping out similar initiatives. So Greenpeace might have a massive marketing budget, but actually there might be very similar organisations who do really valuable, amazing work, but just maybe aren't in the public eye as much. And maybe Riddhi Bala, you know, most of her contribution is actually going to a very similar cause to Greenpeace. But all of that would be completely transparent and clear, so you know, there's no sort of confusion there.
Okay, so also people are getting visibility of the skills that they can provide, but also you're learning a little bit about what drives them and what their values are, because you can see what kind of charities they're passionate about.
Yeah, totally, exactly. So you can see here, looking at my profile, I want to help my housemate with his Lyme disease campaign because I'm passionate about that. And then I'm also giving my time to raise money for Woodcraft Folk and Brighton Peace Environment Centre. These are the things that I'm doing, that people are paying me to do. And I charge you know, slightly different amounts possibly depending on what they are. And then this is an interesting thing here. I think that I like to pocket a little bit more money when I'm doing IT support because I find that boring. I'm quite good at it and people need it, so I offer it. But I'm going to pocket some of that money because I'm happy to do filmmaking completely voluntarily because I enjoy it. But the IT support, not so much. And then this is over time, how much time I've been putting in and money I've been raising.
Great. So one thing that really strikes me in this is that it's not just charities, and it's expanding the fundraising to people that inspire you.
Mm.
So the Lyme disease campaign is quite an individual, it's not a large charity or possibly even a charity at all, but it's somebody who's doing some work that you want to support. So that seems to be quite a revolutionary step in terms of kind of broadening that. It's almost like a combination of charity support and fundraise and crowdfunding. It's important to you to want to support it. So it's just kind of removing the barriers between those two ideas. Where do we want to spend our energy, our money-related energy, because that's money is just a form of energy, right? So we just, where are we spending it? We're spending it with Ren because this is a really, really important thing, and it's going to help him. A small amount of money is going to help him do a lot of things, probably. So that's a really interesting concept that I hadn't fully appreciated. So great to get that covered. So we're slightly over our 5 minutes, but is there anything else that you wanted to cover in terms of describing Dignity, where you guys have got to so far?
So I think thanks largely to you guys, a lot actually. We've really tried to not just rush straight into coding stuff and getting VC funding and just running and gunning like Silicon Valley style. We've got the solution. That's gonna fix everything, and we're gonna build it for you. But rather a bit more humbly, first exploring really what is it that we're most passionate about in this, and why really are we here? Why do we care? Because there's just so much gold that can come out of that. I think there's so much value in that to really deeply know what aligns us when we're collaborating together over this project. So I think we spent a long time exploring that. The purpose, our individual purpose and collective purpose, and our sort of, because we're going to have slightly different interests, so it's me and Jack who are most involved in the project currently. And yeah, we spent a lot of time in the kind of creative ideation space on Stormboard, which is a really useful collaboration tool, and also a lot in video calls because he's been mostly based in Mexico and he's just on his way back. We got to briefly see each other a couple of months ago. There's been some really valuable input from Alicia and a few other people too, as well as obviously you guys. So yeah, I think at the moment, I am starting to, especially now, feel the financial pressure of having put quite a huge amount of time into the project over the last few months and not having received any money from it yet, which is what I kind of expected. But I applied for a fellowship, which would have been great, I think, because that wouldn't have tied the project to any external strings really, but more me. And that feels nice because the approach we really want to take is very kind of Teal-inspired, purpose-driven, radical openness and autonomy in a sort of self-managed kind of structure. So that's where certainly Jack and I feel like there's the most, we can most come alive, and it can tease out the qualities in us that are most valuable and really connect us to our own purpose and what's meaningful in this experience, in this project. Rather than just us being sort of more mechanistically driven by strategic decisions. So yeah, really appreciating the kind of Teal framework and sort of guidance there. But yeah, I think right now, I think we have different questions, which is great. I think especially Jack and I are feeling like we need to get some legal advice. on how exactly it might work, the kind of how we could manage the payments. So if I'm fixing Malik's bicycle, Malik pays Dignity Platform, and Dignity Platform splits the money, maybe a few quid towards me and most of the money to a handful of different causes that we both love. How could that work logistically, sort of, so technically and legally? How would taxes work there? Like, would I be considered an employee? Is there some way that I'm not an employee? You know, like TaskRabbit, I think the people who do odd jobs on TaskRabbit are actually legally employees of TaskRabbit. And that feels a bit bureaucratic. And we're just thinking, how can we make this really lightweight and simple and easy? And then also exploring what causes to sort of try this out with, so we can try one step at a time and really test the effectiveness of it, and then expand the scope of it and upscale. And I think, especially recently, I'm feeling like the refugee crisis is actually an area that we could explore with quite well with this, because I care so much about the burnout that amazing, inspiring volunteers are suffering from working out in Lesbos and Calais, just feeling like there's such an intense need for their help there that they don't feel able to leave. And actually, ironically, one of the things that's happening is, as you guys probably know, you know, people are just completely burning out, and actually it's creating tensions there where people aren't getting on with each other, and people are getting depressed and post-traumatic stress disorder and not sleeping, and I'm interested in how a project like Dignity Platform could actually help create an opportunity for those burning out volunteers who really need to come back home to return to England or wherever and still feel very connected to the cause over in Lesbos or wherever, because they're able to send money over, and not just by donating money that they don't actually have, because they probably donated it all already, right? But they can have almost like a little closed economy around all of the other people who are very passionately connected to that cause, and they can be meeting each other and providing really valuable things for each other. Maybe they have, you know, a side project that they're doing as well, and they can be making films for each other and helping doing event organizing and all different kinds of things, you know. Every interaction generating money for the causes that they're very passionate about, but still being at home, being with family and friends, and being in a less burnout-y kind of environment. And money is so needed over there as well, like people's time and skills for sure, but also, you know, I know that money is needed for life jackets and food and shelter and all kinds of materials over in these camps. So that is quite a present thing, certainly for me. I'm exploring. You know, is that something that the people who are really leading those kinds of projects, would they be interested in something like this? Yeah.
He's still at that point. Excellent. So we seem to have lost Sanjay, but I think he had quite a bad connection. So I don't know. Maybe what would be great now is to hear a little bit, maybe from Malik, about, you know, your reaction to it so far, and any sort of ideas that have come up that the Dignity group and Luke and Jack might be inspired about.
Yeah, sure. So thanks for going through that, Luke. I'm kind of familiar with it because you've shared that before, so I understand the model. And the way I see it is a two-sided model between charity fundraising and a marketplace. So the marketplace being somewhere where you can get jobs while supporting your charity. On your question around the legal and technical advice around the money flow, I think it's a really key area to explore. If the people you are paying through the system have a business, then they don't necessarily need to be employees. But if they're individuals, then you need to look at some framework to cover that, so they don't become employees. So that does make it a little bit more limited, because that means that anybody that needs to use your platform needs to come as a business, and then it becomes a business-to-business payment. But that is one area that maybe you want to explore around. I guess the legal framework right now is not as flexible as what you'd like in terms of what you want to do. But maybe it's something that you can explore with a lawyer who would have much more depth than I would in that space. In terms of the money flow, that's another key area to look at. So there's financial liabilities, withholding money, what happens if the money goes astray, goes lost. So you need to look at some framework there about where the money is held. And I would think it would be better if the money flew directly to the charity first, and then what was left went to the individual, rather than it all goes to you, and then you have to then pass it on to those two entities separately. Then you've got liabilities and you have to hold those funds. So maybe there's a way for the money to flow directly to the charity and the individual directly without you being in the middle and holding the funds, because that will require additional financial liabilities and legal. But again, probably worth to explore with a lawyer. I'm curious if there are other challenges that you're facing right now, though, beyond that legal aspect.
It feels incredibly playful and fun and free and creative for me, really. Just a project full of opportunity and good stuff. I mean, if I was if I was on a fellowship or somehow on even like 75 quid a week or something, that would be incredibly liberating. Because I feel quite forgiving of myself, of us, for just just taking the time we need to navigate this and not hurry it. I think I'm most in love with the people and our values and purpose and approach. And I think all the strategic stuff will slowly come. We'll really get a better, clearer understanding of the legal things, the liability, the kind of more logistical realities of it. And I know that we'll test the need and we'll go about it really well. So I think that probably feels like one of my biggest concerns right now is just not feeling able to work on the project much, or at least the more I work on it, the less, there's a kind of like a time limit. I can work this amount of time and then I'm so skint and can't pay my rent that I need to, finally stop playing with dignity. But then more within the project, I think, I mean, at some point we need to code something. Alex has already made us a super basic kind of, almost like a demo, which is pretty far off the thing we're trying to create, but it kind of looks pretty. But yeah, we do need to have a conversation, with some techie people who actually could put some time in. But again, I kind of think we can find them. So yeah, a thing I've been talking a lot with you, particularly Malik, about is, as you know, team forming. So this is a big deal, because there's a lot of people who are interested in this project, and we need to find some very considered, careful way to for people to go on that journey, from being curious to being really interested to actually expectations changing ultimately, I guess. I now expect to be included in decision making. I now expect to be compensated a bit for my time, monetarily or equity in the organisation or something. Just kind of really being super aware of those ever-changing expectations in all directions. So this is quite a neat little. Alex just put this together in about 3 or 4 days. He's incredibly fast, but he's working on represent.me, which is an amazing democratic innovation, sort of direct democracy, soon to be liquid democracy, kind of digital democracy app. But yeah.
So Luke, one of the things that struck me when you were going through your description is that to think about it in maybe a different way. I don't know if this appeals to you, but it seems to me that there are charities that have donation pages, and there are also platforms already for doing work, be it from contracting project managers to graphic designers. So there are those platforms out there. So maybe to ease your way or create a prototype would be to partner with an existing group that is already doing provision of some sort of service, because then they are already managing they already have a platform that manages the money already. And then what you do with Dignity is, instead of creating it as a platform, you create it more as a bolt-on or a plugin that a company such as, I don't know, Reed or Elance or some of these other job and project sites could bolt on and provide as a service to their people. Like as they're providing services, they can take a slice of that service and send it out to the charity. And the Dignity plugin happening, that able to go and pitch your idea to an existing company that might potentially pay you for how you finance the development of the idea. It's not to say that long-term platform, maybe it would, so that creating something that could be quickly, if you can find an organisation that will plug in. Because there's a number of kind of integration ideas out there that add charity into what would be a normal kind of payment flow. So for sites where you can go and just do online shopping, and as you do select, I can't remember off the top of my head, but you know, then just do normal shopping and then you select who's going to get the except for, of course, you'd be targeting companies that are doing quite a few out there, aren't there? In fact, there's a new one just coming out now. Down near it's right up the street. Tender Loving Company.
Mm-hmm.
So what it is, it's a platform for people. So just imagine, you know, you're connecting the bolt-on that allows service. I'm going to give a slice of whatever the payment is, percentage, whatever.
Mm.
So set of companies to be able to what kind of issues you're not just locally but globally. What are the legal requirements about making payments and being essential? So I think Malak made a really good thought about liability, and if you take the funds, you're then liable if something goes wrong. You know, both parties are upset. The other issue is when somebody does a piece of work and they pay for it. The problem with the work, who do they come back to? So there's that two parties. Who then? What's the policy on that? So it has to be really clear. So yeah. But a company that has already got a platform for people who need people who do projects, those issues. So even if you can persuade them to think about for their site, it wouldn't be lots of guidance. Are. It'd probably be because they charge a lot of
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
A friendly lawyer. So there's that angle, but the other angle is the charities themselves. Charities in a way that you can approach money in a much more humane way that's going to be more sustainable for you long term. And they might be willing to invest some money in build out the platform because they would be recipients. So that came to mind as we were talking through the project.
Yeah, great. Oh, wow, I was way too engrossed in notes, so I might just make notes.
Okay, I noticed Malik has to go soon, so maybe what we can do is a quick check-in with Malik, and if he wants to add. This is a good time to kind of wrap the call because it's been quite long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
So let's just kind of thanks, Maura, for also sharing some ideas around interlinking with other business and insights into in a different way about different interactions into be on a B2C model, because there's different efforts involved in doing that, but there's also probably, I mean, the two main takeaways from what you said earlier, Luke, around the challenges that you said, actually three, I would say. This is what I summarized. One is personal financing, so personal funding, which includes the coding, because that would be in the bucket of the team information sharing. So those are the three takeaways that I had you shared earlier as well. So I don't know if that kind of covered what you were feeling. If those were the three main.
Yeah. No, I think spot on.
Okay.
So on those three challenges, I just want to just quickly say there's a really great video done by Maren that is linked in the Wealth Stream, the Teal for Startup Wealth Stream, where he goes through how he and his team have approached remuneration and equity. And there's some thoughts about how they process and discuss together equity. And I think there's some rich information in there for you guys that would be useful as you go forward, thinking about how to create a fair system that's and joyful and creates. So yeah, interesting, and I'm excited to see where.
Our homework will be really soon, Moira. Next day or two, we'll get that done now that we're back from training and stuff. That's taken so long.
How that goes to pass on to anybody who you feel might like to join in on that, and my plan. So if anybody wants to do that, from very open to that. So you just take part.
Awesome. Rich. Again, just so much for all of your wisdom and ideas and questions and just your really invaluable NEBC funding.
Well, we hope you're going to get that too.
Cool. Yeah, anything else, Malik, that you wanted to do anything before?
No, not at this time. It's really interesting that the stuff that we're doing interlinks with some of the challenges that you face off stream. And team formation is an area that, as you know, I'm looking into as well. So I think it's a challenge across the board. We're also looking at team formation in terms of the sensing journey for Tilfa startups, and putting work on how to pull together a team, you know, from the challenges that you mentioned around curiosity and interest to expectations and stuff like that. So in there's a section around expectations. So once we've got that a bit more ready, I'd love to take you through that and see if that would help.
Yeah.
So there's the stuff happening in the wealth stream, and I'm also thinking about fair equity models as well. But startups are facing. So both of those two things are like in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. There's actually someone that. Well, yeah. Actually, all of us maybe. There's coming from this IO retreat, the IO Collective retreat in Greece. There was some really interesting work being done there about how to make a much more fun, simple, flexible, and more kind of like modern, relevant sort of user interface, not just digitally, but kind of in reality. For that kind of, I want to give X, Y, and Z, like time, skill, network, assets, like my camera, a van, a space. I'll give these things, and in return, I want these things. You know, like kind of ownership, money now, maybe money later, access to assets, space, equipment, whatever. And then like a revisiting period. So this is the agreement that only applies for, you know, 6 months. Then in 6 months, you know, I've given X amount of each one of these things, and I've received these things. So that's in the past. That's done. That's great. That's happy. Now we revisit it, and maybe we want to tweak it. You know, so that feels like a sort of interesting thing. I don't know how radical or explored that sort of territory is, but it certainly seems very relevant and fun to explore at the moment.
Mm.
Yeah, because at the moment it's kind of weird, you know, like most mainstream, and it's all completely set in concrete, isn't it? More senior member of management staff has kind of gone, we expect exactly this in return, and you know, this is the more, perhaps more informal organisations. I think there's a real opportunity to challenge that, but there's many I'm interested in fairly.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that that's a really key area to explore. Certainly a need for businesses, and specifically startups, engaging people together and bringing in the right amount of energy and setting clear expectations. I think it really does come back to clear expectations. It's possible and visible in terms of the effort that's being contributed as well, and stuff like that. So that's some of the areas that, you know, we're looking into. So yeah, be happy to share more when it's a bit more ready.
Yeah, I think clarity is really key. That for me just stood out from what you said, Malik. You know, that term clarity, and part of the, you'll have noticed, Luke, maybe you've had a chance to look at it. Part of the homework for personal first step is gaining a real clarity around what you personally want to do, what excites you. So when you're talking about a grid that says, this is what the skills I have to give, and this is what so there's a section in there on that, because really understanding what the breakdown is of the things that you want to do and the things that you can do but you don't really love to do is kind of key, and you can very easily sort of get trapped in things that we don't really want to do but we're good at, because you know, there's a sort of expectation that that's what we're just going to keep doing, and maybe we're going to break out there by that sort of dynamic model that you were talking about, in terms of saying, well, this is what it is now, and in 6 months' time I'm going to look at it again, because it might be different. I might have learned as much as I want to learn about X, which means that offering comes off the table. It's no longer something that's going to be done. So I think it's a really interesting area to explore, dynamic, moving expectation of what's going to be offered by an individual, because it changes, and the structures that we have these days suggest that it doesn't change, or it changes really, really slowly, but the reality is not the case. Things are moving so fast, you can pick up a skill very quickly and move on to something that's more
Something that's more.
something that's more joyful, letting go. Anywho, so yeah, involved in the journey that you're doing, because there's loads of learning and there's loads of opportunity for experiment, and that's fantastic. Anyway, it looks like Malik's got to be going, so I guess we're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much. Anything else you want to say in leaving, Luke?
Just, yeah, I think I'm going to go through this again and as I say, just write it up. Yeah, thanks lots. Yeah, that's really.
Thanks for sharing, Luke. Thanks, Alex. See you
Okay,
later.
bye guys. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.